Now, we have taken a look at normal condition testing. We've taken a look at the normal AND function, the OR function, the if function, the if combined with the AND function, and the if combined with the OR function. But do you know you can be in a certain situation whereby you don't need to let me see. You can be in a certain situation where it is not just two values you want to return. For instance, now here, this is returning either true or false, a value if the condition is met, and a value if the condition is not met. Okay, but what if I have like 5 conditions I want to test? And for each one of those conditions being met, I want to return a value. Let me come again. Looking at the if function, I just said if it is true, this if function, look at this. I said if this is true, return this. Okay, but if it is not true, return this. All right, but what if I wanted a situation whereby if this is true, it will return this? But if it is not true, what it will do is that it will now check another condition. For instance, this test, is it greater than 150,000? No, it is false. This value is not greater than 150,000. So instead of returning low, I want it to test another condition. Check. If it's not greater than 150,000, is it greater than 100,000? Okay. Instead of just saying low, it will go ahead and test another condition. All right. So I can make use of the if statement here. All right. Now, again, the if function is simply checking this condition, is it true or not? Okay. Is it true or not? Now, if it is true, it will return high. If it is not true, it will return low. But what if what I wanted is that it will check, is it greater than 150,000? Return high. But if it is not greater than 150,000, then I want it to check for if it is greater than 100,000. Instead of just returning low. So I can use the ifs function here. Okay. Although I can make use of the nested ifs, but I prefer making use of the ifs function. So let's see, because it's more direct. Let's see the ifs function. Let's check this quickly. Now, what do I want to do? Let me close these columns. Huh? Let me close this and all functions. Let me close this so that we have enough space. Now, I want to see the values that are greater than 100,000 and the values that are greater than 200,000. Now, this is how the ifs function would test conditions. It will test it condition after condition. So if I say, is the value greater than 0? If that is my first condition, is the value greater than 0? Everything is greater than 0. So it will not bother checking for the remaining conditions. What do I mean? Now, if a value is greater than 100,000, return above 100,000. If it is greater than 200,000, return above 200,000. So if the first condition I test is if the value is greater than 100,000, even if I have a value that is greater than 200,000, it will return above 100,000. It looks confusing. Let me demonstrate it quickly. Ifs function equal to ifs, ifs, open brackets. Now here, what does it require? How does the argument work? Logical test, value if true. Logical test, value if true. Logical test, value if true. Basically, so what is the logical test? This value greater than 200,000, comma. Value if true. If it's greater than 200,000, what should I return? Return above 200K. Close my double quotes, comma. All right. Now, if it is not above 200,000, okay, if it is not above 200,000, then check if it is above 100,000. I will now test the condition. This same value, C2, greater than 100,000, comma. The value, if true, I'll tell it to return above 100K. Close my double quotes and close brackets. Let's just work with just these two so that you see how it works. Now, if it is above 200K, to say above 200K. If it is above 100K, to say above 100K. When I press enter, it says above 200K, isn't it? If I double click, you can see for some, it's saying NA because it is not above 200, it's not above 100. All right, but leave that one for now. We'll take care of it later. Okay, now you see how we tested. I'm having above 200 where the value is above 200, isn't it? But what if the condition I first tested is if it is above 100? If I say equal to ifs, this value, is it above 100,000, comma, return above 100K, comma. But if it is above 200,000, so this above 200,000, comma, return above 200K. Close double quotes, close brackets, press enter. Do you see that this time around is returning above 100K for this value? Okay, if you can crack why this happened, you've gotten the ifs function. So can anybody tell me why do you think this happened? Because it is the first argument, it is the first logical test. It is the first logical test. Do you see that? It is the first logical test. So once the first test is met, it will not test any other thing again. So it will check the first one. Is it met? Now, 200K is above 100K now. So once this condition is met, that, oh yes, it is above 100K, it will not bother checking for any other one. So you see the reason why I needed to first check if it is above 200K. So if that one is not met, okay, let's now go down. Is it above 100K? Do you see that? Above 100K. So if I want to include one more year, I'll just say, okay, comma. But if it is not above 100K, if I say, okay, this value, if it is less than or equal to 100,000, comma, then return below 100K, below 100K. Close my double quotes and press enter. Now, if I come here, double click, you see where I have NA before. You see it goes down. Okay, so you can see here it's checking this value. Is it above 200K? No, it moves on to the next one. Is it above 100K? No, it moves on to the next one. Is it less than or equal to 100K? Yes. So it will return below 100K. Simply. All right. So that is the logical functions. Your if plus and function, your if plus or function, and your ifs function. Exactly. It only moves on to the next condition if the first one is false. It will only move on to the next one if the first one is false. Okay. So this same thing that I tested, I can use the if nested if function. Nested if. I can use nested if to test it. Let's see. Because I know some people that would say we're not taught that, even though there are some things that I've already taken that would cover it. Now, if you look at this, equal to if open brackets, I want to check this value greater than 200,000, comma, value if true. If it is true, I'll tell it return above 200K. Now, remember, I'm using the if function without an S, comma. But if it is false, value if false, what will I tell it to do? I will tell it to test another condition using the if function. I will type if, open bracket. So meaning, oh, it is not above 200,000. So what is the value if false? Oh, the value if false is another function. If, so it will not test. If what? If this value is now less than 100,000, comma, then I will tell it to return above 100K. Close the double quotes, comma, value if false for this one now. I can put in another if function again, but I don't want to go too much. I'll just say, okay, return below 200, sorry, below 100K. Close the double quotes, close the brackets for the first if function, or for the second if function. Okay, and I need to close the bracket again for the entire if function. Once I press enter, you can see it says above 200K. Now, if I double click, do you see that? I have basically the same result. All right. So The nested if function, I'm very sure, has been what people will have been making use of before the if function came about. So I like making use of the if function. Straightforward and direct, but there are some certain use cases of the nested if as well. Okay, so now let's just look at one practice question and we'll call it a day here because I won't lie to you. Logical functions can be much to what's it called? Comprehend. Okay, but take a look at it and we'll get it. I should go back to the nested if function. I'm back here. So what did we do? We checked if the value is above 200,000. Then it should return 200,000. But if it is not above, the value if false, we put in another function there. So instead of coming to just return another value if it is false, what we will do is now test another condition. Is the value above 100,000? Yes, it is above 100,000. If it is not above 100,000, then it is below 100,000. All right. So come back to practice one. Now, let's see a very simple demonstration. Okay, just one demonstration of this sheet. Okay. We are to calculate commission for these sales reps. The threshold is 30,000 pounds. So if they make above 30,000 pounds, then their commission would be 20% of the sales value. This is 20% here. This is 1% here. But if they make anything less than 30,000, then their commission is 1% of the sales value. How do I calculate the commission? Very simple. The same way you read it to yourself is the same way you will apply it. The first thing is that there are two outputs I want to return. One, if the threshold is met. Second, if the threshold is not met. So I know that, oh, very simply, I'm using if function, if, equal to if. Now, how do I know if a threshold is met? I need to check if that value, sales, is greater than the threshold or is greater than equal to the threshold. So if this value is greater than or equal to this value, threshold. Now for this value, because this value will remain the same, this threshold will remain threshold when I'm testing across this column. I will use my absolute reference, F4, for it. Absolute reference, it includes $, like that, comma. Now, what is this? If this value is greater than or equal to this value, then what should I do? All right, let's proceed. So if this value is greater than or equal to this value, what should I return? I want you to calculate. What I want you to return now is not a word. So I'm not putting it in double quotes. I want it to calculate something. Calculate what? Multiply the high rate by that sales value so that I will have the person's commission. Okay? If the sales is above 30,000, then you are multiplying the sales by high rate. So I will click sales times high rate. Now, because this high rate will remain the same, it will not change. I will use absolute reference as well. Comma. But if this value is not greater than or equal to 30 pounds, Okay, if it is less than, meaning if it is false, if this condition is false, then what you should be multiplying with is 1%. So this value again times 1%. Then I use my absolute reference for that 1% again, and I close my bracket and press enter. Now it said 250,000. 250 pounds rather. 250 pounds. Why 250 pounds? Why 250 pounds? Because the commission is not up, beautiful. The sales is not up to 30,000. So it is multiplying the sales by 1%. You see that? You see how you're getting it? Okay. So if I come here now and I double click. Now here, I have 6,660. Why? Because the sales gotten is above 30%, is above 30,000. So it uses the high rate. All right. So it can be quite much, but I want you to practice. Okay. Practice and practice again. You can create a normal data for yourself. Just type in some names, put in some values, and test some conditions yourself to see if you'll be able to get it. For instance, now I can type in some values, maybe between 1 to 100 here. You looking at the value, you will know whether it is greater than a number or less than a number. But can you use Excel functions to do it? That is how you learn. You help yourself to learn. Okay?
Endeavor to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you. See you in our next class. Bye.